Welcome to the Vol Bros. My name is Evan. I do not have my brother Ruston with me tonight. He is currently in Knoxville in Thompson Bowling Arena for the Brandon Lake concert. But we are two Vol Bros who are actually bros in real life. And we're very excited. You know, obviously, we're certainly thrilled to be partnered with the Ooltewah Club. I was there today. Had a great time with Ginger's uncle playing golf. It was a lot of fun. Just a beautiful, beautiful place, man. And he kept raving about how pristine the greens were. And that is something that the Ooltewah Club's known for all over our city. So if you want to see some good greens, go to the Ooltewah Club. But also, as always, you know, we're very proud to be representatives of the University of Tennessee on the Believe Entertainment Network. And the great benefit of that is we've been able to partner with the Hog Talk podcast already. Tonight, we've got a very special guest. We'll have another special guest next Thursday night for the Kentucky game. But I'm very, very excited to welcome Owen Barnes to the show. Owen, welcome. We're glad you're with us.
Glad to join. Thanks for having me.
So Owen hosts the Barnes on Bama show on the Believe Entertainment Network. And it's another great show as part of that network. Owen was actually at SEC Media Days for basketball yesterday. What was that experience like?
That experience was super crazy. I'm super appreciative to Garth Glisman and the whole SEC team for kind of letting me come out. I do it independently, just like these guys, and you know I have a day job, so the fact that they thought it was important enough to let me come experience SEC Media Days in Birmingham, I was super appreciative of.
Yeah, that's awesome. Kim Caldwell was there rocking a new hairdo. That was a big talk in Knoxville yesterday on the Vol Twitter. But the coolest statement, the coolest thing she said the whole day yesterday was, "We don't recruit backup freshmen." I love that. I was like, yeah, man. Kim likes to get people on the court. And so they play 12 people a game if they can. Already got some folks in the comments. Let's see here. Slim, welcome, buddy. Glad you're with us. Nolan, there's a channel member. Glad you're with us, buddy. He said third Saturday in October. Absolutely. Mino Lackey, welcome, channel member. Glad you're with us. She said, "Go Big Orange." Let's see. Audrey. Audrey is a channel member. She's fired up. That's what I'm talking about. Matt's a channel member. He said, "I'm getting really excited about this weekend. This game means the world to me. Go Vols." Totally understand. Herb said, awesome for Ruston to get to beat the Brandon Lake show. Wish he could have made it. Absolutely. Elijah, welcome, buddy. Here's a channel member. He said, "What's up, Evan and Owen?" Let's see. Mino Lackey and Audrey both said hey to Owen. Billy, welcome. So Billy, all right. So Owen, just so you know, I'm glad Billy's with us tonight because every week, you know, for the last, almost 3 years now. Wow. We've been doing this show for just shy of 3 years. It'll be 3 years in 2 weeks. I just realized y'all are seeing me realize this in real time right now. Billy, for the first time in the history of our show, picked the score of the Tennessee-Arkansas game perfectly. He predicted the score perfectly. And so I'm glad Billy's here tonight because I'm sure he'll give us his score prediction here in a little while. Don't post it yet, Billy. Save it for that part of the show. He said, "Go Vols." Absolutely. Mississippi Vol, welcome, buddy. Here's a channel member. He said, "Good evening, everybody." Well, here's the thing. To start off with, now everybody who watches the show knows we have three things we always talk about. We always talk about who do we think we're going to be talking about on Sunday. We always talk about what do we want to see from our team this weekend, and we give our score predictions. But since we're fortunate enough to have Owen here with us tonight, I've got a couple other questions for Owen that we don't normally do, and so I'd love to hear his thoughts on this, and I think everybody listening will have a lot of really be intrigued by my second question for him. But two questions real quick for Owen. Owen, first of all, as a Bama fan, you obviously know more about Alabama's football team and their athletic department than anybody, wearing orange, I'm sure. And so what do you think as a Bama fan, what do you think is Bama's maybe their biggest advantage or their most important thing that they have going for them this weekend for the third Saturday in October?
Yeah, and first off, I actually want to mention, I actually was watching your episode with your recap episode, kind of getting familiar with your show, and I saw that Billy had correctly predicted. I know somebody was saying, "Oh, we need a good one for the Bama game," so I expected you might mention that one. But Actually, one of the things, and for those of you that are unaware, Evan actually came on my show last night that went live this morning, and we talked a little bit about it. And I have a little bit of an update because I don't know if you have checked the weather, but we talked a little bit about the weather yesterday. And I
Yep.
can confirm, at least as of this moment, we're recording this afternoon or tonight, but as of now, the weather looks like it's delayed.
Yep.
And the rain isn't going to be rolling into Tuscaloosa until about 1:30 Sunday morning. So it looks like the game will be able to be got in. And the reason I bring this up is my answer for the biggest and most important advantage is the fact that this game's in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
I think that what you've seen here recently out of Alabama in Bryant-Denny Stadium has been absolutely phenomenal. Also, just the history of this rivalry, Tennessee has not won in Tuscaloosa since 2003. I think that is something that you're just going to have to consider when you look at the fact
Yeah.
of how Tennessee runs their offense, how they run their defense. I think that the sound is going to play a factor because when you have a night game under the lights in Bryant-Denny, it does impact the game, right? Now, to what level, to what amount, it really depends. But when you have a big rivalry game or when you have such a big national stage game, it's absolutely going to play an impact. So if I had to point like one thing that like I think is the biggest advantage, because I think these are two offenses, and we'll talk about it later, that are going to score on each other's defenses. But I think the most important advantage that Alabama has is something that Tennessee can't have in this one is that it's a home game.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree. Listen, I mean, there's something to be said for marching in enemy territory, especially in the SEC. Audrey asked in the comments there, she asked, can you drop a link for the show that you just referenced? And I just did in the comments on Facebook and YouTube. So if you're on one of those two platforms, you can see that link. I will put it on Twitter or X. I always say everybody's going to call it Twitter forever. But I will put that on Twitter right now. And so that is now in the comments on Twitter as well. Let's see. Some folks already given their predictions, but I normally don't do this till we get to that part of the show. But this cracks me up. I'm assuming this is a Bama fan. He said, be jamming. Which, side note, how in the world is Jam Miller listed as probable on Alabama's injury report?
Dude, I have a thought. We can talk about that one, but I have a thought.
Okay. I love his names for his teams. The Tide 31, the Snitches 21. Now, if anybody doesn't know what he's referring to, there is a clip from, what was it, like 2007?
It was like I want to say it's before that. I want to say it's like 2005 or 2006. It's a super old clip, like a very, very old clip.
So it is a news clip from a local television news station in Tuscaloosa. And it's a guy giving his thoughts on Tennessee. And it is the funniest thing you will watch all day, every day. I mean, it is hilarious. He's asked why he hates Tennessee, and he's like, they low down, they dirty, they some snitches. And then he starts talking about his distaste for the color orange. And he's like, it's not that orange that you can sit with.
It's that puke inside of a pumpkin orange.
Yeah. And he goes, and I don't like pumpkins. It is one of the funniest things you will ever watch. And I have a very good friend. So one of my very good friends, I used to teach with her. Her name is Jackie Freeland. She played softball at Alabama. She is from Chattanooga. She's considered the best softball player to ever play in Chattanooga. She was a 4-time All-American at Alabama. She won 2 women's college World Series while she was there. Her husband, she's married to a former punter. His name is Bo Freeland. He punted in the Mike Shula era. And every year this week, I always send her that clip, and I say it never gets old. So that cracks me up. So my second question for you, and then I want to talk about Jam Miller, but my second question for you, and I think this is the question that our listeners will be most intrigued by. What is something that we as Tennessee fans don't know about this Bama team that you think we should know?
I think there's 2, right? I think first and foremost, I think that Ryan Williams is not the most important receiver that Alabama has. And the reason I bring that one up is he's the guy who gets all the highlights. He's the guy that gets all the ESPN talking heads talking about him. But he is not the most important receiver for the University of Alabama. The guy who you're going to need to watch on Saturday is Jeremy Bernard. He is the Swiss Army knife for Kalen DeBoer. He came with him from Washington. He sat behind all the guys out in Washington, and Bernard is the guy that you need to watch. Bernard they try to use him in the backfield. They've handed him the ball. He's thrown a pass. Like Bernard is, again, he's a guy who, the way that Ryan Grubb talks about Bernard is how he talks about Caden Proctor, which I'm sure y'all seen all the crazy plays that they've done with Proctor. But he asked like, hey, why do you do those plays? And it's like, we have trust in those guys. Kalen DeBoer has been on record saying that if you gave Jeremy Bernard a week to prepare, he could be your starting safety, right? He truly believes this guy knows football at that level. So like Bernard is the most important receiver for Alabama. He's the most sure-handed. Like, is Ryan Williams the wow factor guy? Absolutely. But like, he is not the most important receiver for Alabama. The other thing is more, if you've seen any of Alabama, I feel like the game y'all may have seen was that Florida State game, because that's the game that was kind of a standalone game at the beginning of the season. And the easiest thing that I want to say is the defense is not as bad as you saw in the Florida State game. Me and Evan talked about on the show last night that I kind of warned Alabama fans, Tennessee will open the game with a touchdown, right? Not just because Josh Heupel does that, and he has for many years, as Evan talked about, but Alabama this season has done a really poor job in the first series. Kane Womack has not done a great job starting the game strong. However, what they've done really well in the Vandy and Missouri games, and less so in the Georgia game because they started a little better, but Alabama has adjusted really well to the opposing team. So I would not get your hopes up if you're Tennessee, or get down if you're Alabama if you see a score early and see the defense look a little discombobulated. That has been what we've seen throughout the course of the season. I mean, in the Vanderbilt game, Vandy had 100 and something yards rushing in the first quarter and had 30 in the second half. Or sorry, 9 in the second half. They had 30 the rest of the game. So that is something that I just would let people know, is the defense isn't as bad as you would expect, especially if you only saw that Florida State game. And Ryan Williams is not your number one receiver.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point about Ryan. I mean, Jeremy Bernard is leading the Tide in receiving yards right now. So certainly a target, no doubt about it. Vols Times said there's still a storm a coming, and it's called the Vols. Let's see. Elijah said Jam Miller is probable to make us plan for it. I don't think he plays, honestly. What's your take on Jam Miller?
So my original take when it happened was, I personally originally thought he went out, but upon a rewatch, I don't think he got knocked out. I actually don't think he had a full concussion. I think he was going through concussion protocol. And I think that that's a very important distinction of, did he have a concussion or was he just in protocol? Because when you see Derek Meadows, the guy who clearly got knocked out, everybody saw him lay in on the field. He was clearly listed out. He was never listed as questionable or probable. Jam Miller 2 days later was already listed as questionable. And knowing what I know about the medical staff, actually Alabama's team doctor that's on the field did my shoulder surgery and my my fiance's ACL. What I know about those guys, they would not put anybody in jeopardy. Obviously, we know that about these guys. I personally just have the feeling that he was in protocol, and so they labeled it a concussion, but I don't think he ever had one. And so I think that's what's catching people off guard, is they see, oh, guy returning from concussion 1 week. Again, the guy who clearly had a concussion has been out and listed out for sure, Derek Meadows. For anybody that was curious, he was the one that got knocked out in the receiving play across the center. He's a freshman. He hasn't played a ton this season.
God,
We were kind of excited to see him get some playing time, and then that happened. As you said, it was awful. But yeah.
I mean, when the dude's laying limp on the ground with his arm behind him like this, no,
the ball. He had the ball caught, and I mean, he went out before he hit the ground, which is why he dropped the ball. So, yeah.
I mean, that was one of those plays where you're just like, oh Lord, please let him be okay. I mean, like, it was, anytime you see a dude laying limp on the field like that, I don't care what team he's playing for, that's awful. I mean, it's just awful. You never see anybody get hurt, especially like that. B. Jammin said the guy in the Alabama Tuscaloosa news video. He said, you can tell he's 100% telling it like he feels too. Tony, welcome, Tony. Tony said that he hates Bama more than any other team. Let's see. B. Jamin said, Ty will pick you apart if Bama's offensive line protects. There's going to be a lot of feast or famine in that regard. I'm sure we'll talk about that here in a minute. Let's see here. Elijah said that Bernard's a stud. Let's see. Stingray said, we know they like teddy bears and their nails polished.
He's referring to Ryan with that one. He's the guy who gets all the publicity. He's a showman. There's no other way to put it.
Yep, absolutely. Jonathan, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said, hello, Evan and chat family. Owen and chat family. I'm a few minutes behind. Hope everybody's had a great week so far. Absolutely, man. You too. Let's see. Skipping on down. Yeah, Elijah said that hit on Meadows was brutal. It sure was, man. It was scary. Elijah said, I genuinely thought he died. Like, it was bad. Yeah. Like I said, when the dude's laying on the field limp, that's horrible. Like, awful to watch.
I was just appreciative to see him walk off the field. Usually
sure.
in that instance, they have to spine board him. The fact that he was, alert enough and they felt comfortable enough to let him walk off the field under his own power, to me, was a great sign. Because, like I said, typically that's a spine board situation, even if he's going to be okay. So I thought that was kind of your first, like, okay, this, it was bad, absolutely, but maybe it's a little better than we potentially anticipated, the fact that they let him walk off the field.
Yeah. John said, hope Ruston's all right. He's actually at a concert in Thompson Bowling Arena tonight. You'll notice I don't call it the Food City Center at Thompson Bowling Arena. I just call it Thompson Bowling Arena. Jonathan said, Ruston's probably trying to get more NIL money. You're right. That's exactly what's happening. He's holding out for more NIL money. Nolan has a good question. Nolan said, which team do you think has the better run game if their running back one is healthy? I'll let you answer that first, and then I'll give my thoughts.
If we're going to go under the assumption that Jam Miller, like I said, is going to play and that it's because he's okay, right? If we're going to have that be our assumption, I think the answer is Alabama. And I think the reason why you point to that is because of the Mississippi State game in Starkville. Mississippi State's ability to run on Tennessee, and what I think, when you look at what a good running game does, is it slows down your pass rush. And I'm sure Evan will talk later about how good Tennessee's pass rush has been this season and how it's going to affect Alabama. But the thing that can slow down those pass rushers is running it right up the middle. And I think that that's a spot that Tennessee potentially has a weakness. So I would think that is Alabama, just because I think that Alabama has shown the ability to stop a team like Missouri that might have the best tandem tailback duo in the country. Last game, they did a really good job stopping them. Again, that Vanderbilt game that we talked about, obviously they do it a little bit differently because of the quarterback run game, but I think that Alabama has shown an ability to stop some really good running teams. So I would personally say I think that Alabama has a little bit better running game, especially due to how Tennessee is going to have to play defensively.
So totally understand that. When you're looking at giving up running yards, I mean, certainly we all are well aware of what we saw the Washington kid for Arkansas do against us last week. So we know. However, when you look at the question, which team do you think has the better run game if the running back one is healthy? Well, that's an interesting question because Tennessee doesn't really have an running RB1. I mean, you could say it's Deshaun Bishop, but really they have 1A, 2A, and 3A. It's Deshaun Bishop, Peyton Lewis, and Star Thomas. Now, it is not an accident that Josh Heupel's team, year after year after year, averages over 200 rushing yards per game. People think this is a pass first offense. It's not. It's a run first offense. They got three dudes back there that can flat run it. And so due to just the depth Would I love to have Jam Miller on my team? 100%. Yeah, man, absolutely. But due to just the depth that they have at running back, I got to go Tennessee. Just because they can put three dudes out there and you're not losing a step with any of them. So that's why I would give the nod to Tennessee there. Let's see. Go ahead.
And one thing I would note, even if Jam Miller is a bit hobbled in this game, I would not look at it as Alabama being completely without an ability to run. If you'll remember, Jam Miller had a dislocated collarbone, so he missed the first 3 games of the season. He did not come back until the Georgia game. So you saw a guy in Kevin Riley that got some really good touches. He's been a receiving threat out of the backfield. He's definitely a different type of back than Jam Miller. He's a little bit more explosive, a little smaller. But, Alabama is not going to be completely with an inability to run the football. Definitely, you would hope to have Jam in this game, and it would definitely make it better. But, Alabama is not completely inept if you don't have him. Honestly, the running game on the Alabama side has more to do with who starts at the offensive line position than who the running back is, but that's a whole different discussion.
I gotcha. Elijah made a great point. He said, I would take Jam over Deshaun Bishop, but I think Starr and Peyton Lewis are better than Bama's 2s and 3s. That's the thing. I mean, like we don't have 1, 2, and 3. We have 1, 1, and 1, and then 4 and 5 after that. So, Jonathan, I think just hit the nail on the head. He said, I think this game has potential to be a very high scoring game. I feel better if Jermon McCoy was playing. We need him back, if for nothing else, to give Ty Redmond a rest. And I think Jonathan's right on the money there. Let's see. Will from Ohio is here. So we have Will in our comments. You'll notice it says Will Star. So Will is an Ohio State fan. He joins us frequently, and so we're glad that Will's with us. Robert said he doesn't think Alabama has a great run defense. I think he's basing that off of the Florida State game. If because Florida State moved the line. I mean, they did.
And that's why I started with what I said on the things that Tennessee fans don't know is because, like I said, if you only saw that Florida State game, I would absolutely agree with the sentiment that our run defense is terrible. Or if you saw the first quarter against Vandy, you would say, oh my gosh, the run defense is atrocious. If you take away 2 of the runs against Vanderbilt had the rest of the game, they ran for 38 yards. If you take away the 65 and 36-yard runs. So, yes, we gave up some explosives, and you don't want to do that. But, overall, the course of a game, they actually were pretty decent against the run.
The Rebel Jew's with us. Welcome, buddy. Good to have you. B. Jamin said, as a diehard Bama fan, I can 100% say y'all have the better field goal kicker. We are 1 kick away from being undefeated right now. And that's still heartbreaking to think about. One missed
you say that,
or Georgia.
You're absolutely right in saying that. I still would take your kicker over mine.
Max is great. Yeah, I love the guy. I hate it for him that he missed that one. Elijah said the Florida State game was 100% a one-off game for Bama. Mississippi Vol said one thing about Ty. He's speaking of Ty Redmond. He said he's been picked on this year, but he's getting better and better. Yeah, I agree. It's just a matter of time before he gets his hands on one and takes it to the house. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. So let's talk about this Saturday, 3rd Saturday in October. I mean, this is, we talked about this last time, there's a hotel room in Knoxville where the SEC was formed, and it was because of these 2 schools. This is a big deal. This is the 3rd Saturday in October. What do you want to see from Alabama on Saturday? And then I'll say what I want to see from Tennessee.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I kind of, when I think about something like this, I think of it in 3 semi-facets. One, I look at the running game, right? And I know we kind of have touched on that a little bit, so I won't go too deep. But I think the thing with the running game is I think the running game obviously helps set up the pass, and the running game slows down that pass rush. And I think that's the most important part of the running game. It's not actually that you get running yards, it's that it slows down the pass rush. And I'm even talking about your screen game, anything that's an offset of the running game. Does not actually have to be the running back up the middle. Just things that help slow down the pass rush and give your quarterback time to throw, right? Number 2 is pass protection. a really important note for Tennessee to watch in this game is the right tackle position. This has been a position that Alabama has been, very open about. Is an open contest. Ryan Grubb is stopping a little short of calling Michael Carroll the official starter. He's a freshman. Most Alabama fans want him to be our new starter, number 64. If he goes out there and is your starter at right tackle, I think Alabama fans would be very happy. You've had a guy in Wilkin Formby that's huge, but he just does not move super well. And because of that, against Missouri, we had to do a lot of chips for him to be able to, keep up in pass protection. So the reason I bring that up is if you have Carroll and Proctor at the tackle positions, it definitely would help you, especially if we're not having to chip as much. But that's also going to depend on how Tennessee plays. And then the final one would be Ty Simpson against the blitz, right? Because I will say that if Tennessee does not blitz, what Alabama will do is they will keep tight ends in to chip, and Alabama will feel comfortable in Ty Simpson picking apart zone defense with 7 defenders back, right? If you only rush 4, we will keep guys chipping and we'll let Ty pick apart zone because he's been really good at it all season. So in order to get pressure on Ty, you're either going to have some really good stunts or some blitz. He's done really good against the blitz this season, but again, as Evan talked about on my show, this is an elite pass rush from Tennessee. So the question will be, is he able to keep it up? Are they able to get him on the ground? Is he able to, does he fumble like he did in the Missouri game, right? I think those are kind of your biggest keys because I think that that's the spots that are really going to tell you how Alabama has done in this game, is kind of those 3 facets.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. I mentioned this on Owen's show. Tennessee has the most bizarre Jekyll and Hyde defensive statistics right now. They're second in the country in sacks. You're like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Well, then they're 106th in the country in points allowed. So, it's like, wait, what? Essentially, they either get to the quarterback or they get picked apart. And that both things can happen on back-to-back plays. It is the most bizarre thing to watch right now. And I think all the Bama fans will see that this Saturday. There's going to be, they're going to get to Ty, and Ty is also going to have a field day probably. It's going to be the most bizarre stat line for Ty Simpson at the end of this game. So, when we talk about what do I want to see from Tennessee this weekend, this is going to sound odd, but I think everybody watching will totally understand what I mean when I say this. I don't want to see, I don't think Josh Heupel will have an opportunity to take his foot off the gas pedal this weekend. And I think that is going to benefit Tennessee in the long run. This past weekend, we got up 34-17 against Arkansas. Heupel took his foot off the gas, which I get, I understand. But that's not the offense that we run. And we didn't score the rest of the game. When we go full throttle, like Heupel wants to do, that is the team that leads the country in points per game right now. When we go full throttle, and Elijah made a good point. He said it almost cost us a game when Heupel took his foot off the gas. He's exactly right. The team that wants to snap the ball every 8 seconds, that team, that's the offense that puts up video game type numbers. I honestly think we are going to see that type of offense for 4 quarters this weekend, because I don't think our defense is going to stop Alabama's offense, and I don't think Alabama's defense is going to stop our offense. I think it's going to be a very high-scoring game, and therefore Heupel won't have the opportunity to take his foot off the gas. He's got to keep the pedal to the metal, and that's how this offense feasts and thrives. And so I think that is what's going to be one of the most beneficial things for Tennessee this weekend. Now, what I'd love to see is I would love to see the offensive line give Joey enough time to make things happen, to hit downfield shots. I'd love to see that. I think our offensive line has been one of the most pleasant surprises. How crazy is this? Think about this, Owen. The season's half over. Is that not bizarre?
Mm-hmm.
How wild is that? I would love. Billy just asked a good question. He said, "Evan, don't you think the rain will play a factor?" That's a great question. So, yeah, Bobby said, "Don't forget we're playing essentially, 11 on 16 out there, or more than that with the officials." But here's the thing: the weather yesterday morning, they were calling for severe thunderstorms in Tuscaloosa Saturday, like afternoon and evening. That's what they were calling for. Now, thankfully, and we said this last night as we were recording, that could change 20 times between now and Sunday. And Owen mentioned it earlier. The forecast has changed. They're calling for the rain to move in early in the morning on Sunday now. So that's what the Weather Channel's saying. I was actually watching my son. He's 13, but he loves the Weather Channel and like meteorology and stuff. And like if I'm ever like, I wonder what the weather's going to be like, or like hurricanes, dude, he's fascinated by hurricanes. And so he tracks them and like if I ever need to know like what storm systems happen in the Atlantic, I'm like, hey Cam, what's going on? And like he loves it. And so maybe he'll be on the Weather Channel one day. I don't know. But Fox Weather, he was watching that earlier. They have the thunderstorms moving in early Sunday morning, but they still have it raining Saturday night. So who knows? I mean, at this point, who knows what the weather's going to be like? I hope it's not raining, because honestly, I think that's to Tennessee's, benefit, because then they can throw the ball easier, because they do like to take downfield shots. So I think if it's raining, that is to Alabama's benefit. If it is not raining, that's to Tennessee's benefit. If severe storms do roll in, then you're looking at weather delays. Oh my goodness. Which team has the mental fortitude to, come back from a 30-minute timeout? Listen, what if it gets in a situation where there's a weather delay, 30 minutes goes by, people start coming back in the stands, teams come out warming up, that kind of thing. They start the game, run 2 plays, another lightning strike, everybody clears for another 30 minutes. I mean, at that point, everything we say tonight is out the window. Because at that point, the real question is, which team has the better mental fortitude to come back from those constant delays like that? If that stuff starts happening, this game might not end until Sunday morning. And so hopefully, I really do hope all the weather stays away. And then we can, really see what these two teams can do. So what I want to see from Tennessee, so Billy made a good point. He said the weather here at West Tennessee is expected to be very rainy at that specific hour. So it's, who knows, man? Who knows at this point? Because the Weather Channel, they're saying one thing, other people are saying another thing. It'll probably change 4 more times between now and then. So, we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. What I want to see Tennessee's offensive line give Joey enough time to operate, which they've done a fantastic job of so far this year. He's only been sacked twice the entire season. So I love that. B. Hammond said, bottom line, key to winning Saturday is which coach masters the Kirby Smart. I was clapping. Man, SEC Shorts and Matt Mitchell, they've been having a field day with that. Josh Mancuso, they've all been having a field day with that thing. So that's what I want to see out of Tennessee. I would love to see their secondary play halfway decently and not get lost in coverage. That'd be awesome. It's always a nice thing. So I would love to see that too. That's what I want to see. Now, let's see some of the comments that came. Go ahead.
I was going to say I saw some comment about Brazel 5 for 5 on talking about Hyatt back in 2022. One thing I will mention, and when you were talking about shots, and something that Tennessee fans may need to be aware of with the defense that Kane Womack runs, he has almost exclusively this season run zone coverage. He ran man coverage a ton last season. I think a lot of that had to do with the people who they had and like their familiarity with his zone that he plays. You saw some of that in the Florida State game. After that Florida State game, he switched to almost exclusively zone coverage. The reason I bring this up is Alabama pretty much has only been giving up the shot plays when they go into man. The zone has been a lot of making quarterbacks, take the check downs, take the 10-yard throw, and not be able to hit the 40-yard bomb. Right. I know that Tennessee was able to do that against Georgia. I will say it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Not to say it's going to be more difficult to get yards, because obviously if you can pick them apart, you can pick them apart. But I do think it's going to be a little bit more difficult for the shot plays with the style of defense that Alabama is running. The zone coverage is a little less susceptible to the one-on-one balls that you see with man that Alabama was susceptible to with Nick Saban. Right? Nick Saban was notorious for running a ton of man coverage, and so that's why you saw that. He ran that weird bracket man, and so that's how Hyatt was able to go crazy on Alabama, was just weird bracket man coverage. You're not seeing that as much with Kane Womack, so it's just a completely defensive style. Now, not to say you can't have somebody go crazy. I'm sure it's possible. It's just a different defense, and so I wouldn't expect it if I was a Tennessee fan.
Jonathan said he wants to see us get ahead early and pressure Ty Simpson all game. Our online has to run block great this week as well. That is very true. Mina Laggy said this has been the most chaotic season she can remember about Tennessee football. It has, man. It has. Vols Time said it wouldn't surprise me if Joey Aguilar and Ty Simpson both would be up for the Heisman this year. So here's what kills me about this. This is a great comment, by the way. Ty Simpson is currently one of the odds-on favorites to win the Heisman. What baffles me about that is he is second in the SEC in passing right now. Guess who number one is? The guy in orange. But because he's not wearing crimson, that's why he's not getting the same pub. It blows my mind. Joey Aguilar currently leading the SEC in passing yards. Ty Simpson is right behind him. But only one of them's getting talked about. Let's see. Tony said our defense is not good enough. I would be shocked if we win. Our defense is going to give up some points this week. There's no doubt about that. I think our offense can keep pace though. Let's see. I'm skipping down. Yeah, I'm not going to spend time talking about Billy Napier. There were some comments about that in the. Let's see. Will said, I keep telling y'all everyone else is playing for second place this year. Anyway, LOL, back-to-back champs this year. I mean, I can't argue with you. I think that's a fair assessment right now in the state of college football. There's Ohio State and then everyone else at this point. So do you feel the same way, Owen, or you think Bama's on the same level as Ohio State?
I don't think that they're on the same level as Ohio State. But I will say something that scares me is Julian Saying being a freshman. When you have a team that is relying so much on the freshman at that point, he was at Alabama. I know Saying fairly well. It does scare me a little bit. I think that at the top of the country, I think that you have the likes of, Ohio State, of course. I think you still have to put Oregon up there, even after their loss to Indiana. I still think you put Indiana up there. You still put A&M up there. You still put Miami up there. I'm sure Alabama's in that conversation. I think the Florida State game was an anomaly, but I think that the top of the country got down a little less, especially when you saw NIL. It just kind of spread the wealth amongst everyone, and you're one kind of bad play away from being kind of in line with everyone else. I think the top of the top isn't quite what it used to be, 5, 6, 7 years ago.
So what if Tennessee has one missed field goal go 7 feet to the left and it goes through the uprights? Undefeated, wins over Georgia, wins over Arkansas, Mississippi State, that kind of thing. Are they in the top 5 at this point, you think?
I think they're probably in the top.
They'd have to be, right?
I think they're probably in the top 5. I think the thing that when you're talking about the personally, my opinion of the reason why Ty is getting some of the praise that Aguilar has not is what he's done on the road. Going into Athens, into Sanford Stadium, and beating Georgia, I think, put a lot of people on watch. I also look at the Missouri game. I know it was an 11 o'clock kick, but actually, for anybody who's followed my channel, like the Missouri game before the season was the game that I circled as like Alabama better watch out. And it's not that Missouri was some elite team that was going to, just blow us out of the doors or anything, but I knew that they were going to be a good team. And early in the season, that was already scheduled as an 11 o'clock kick. It was sandwiched in between Vandy and Tennessee, both of who Alabama lost to last season, right? So it was just in a really weird spot at a really weird time. And I think that what Ty was able to do on the road in Columbia last week, especially that 4th and 8 throw, that's the one that everybody's been talking about. What he was able to do, I think, is as much to do with why Alabama's talked about. And I think because Tennessee has not gone on the road outside of Starkville, I think that's part of the reason. I think that the reason why you're seeing some of these other teams is what they've been able to do away from their home building. Now, if Tennessee is able to come into Tuscaloosa and beat Alabama, I think that changes completely, and Tennessee's right up in that discussion. But I think the on the road element is the reason why some people have Tennessee a little lower, just because they haven't shown it, at least yet, away from home. They needed overtime to be able to beat Mississippi State.
Do you think that, I'm just curious now, I'm going to ask you a couple questions that I didn't prep you with. Welcome to the Vol Bros. This is Ruston has to deal with every week. I'm just curious from a Bama fan's perspective. Do you think Bama is viewed more favorably nationally than Tennessee is?
Yes.
Totally agree. Do you think that Alabama gets more beneficial calls from the referees than when they play Tennessee?
Specifically in that game?
In any, just generally?
Generally, under Nick Saban, I would say the answer is yes. Under DeBoer,
100%.
under DeBoer, I don't know what the answer is, and the reason I say that, and something I talked to with Evan, like DeBoer is known, and there's only been a couple of games this year in which Alabama had less penalties than its opponent, and DeBoer was kind of known for that at Washington as well. His teams were highly, highly penalized. Alabama was one of the most penalized teams in the country last year. So under DeBoer, a little bit different discussion. Under Saban, absolutely. I thought he got the benefit of the doubt. Now, did I think that there were still missed calls? And I think that some fan bases use Saban got away with something to benefit like something else happening? Absolutely, right? Like I think, I'm somebody that there was a penalty that should have been thrown at the interception in Knoxville, right?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
was a call missed on Saban's side? Sure. But you have to be able, in my mind, you have to be able to point out both, right? Call was missed on both sides. And I think
Sure.
that anybody that can't see calls missed on both sides is just looking at it with crimson or orange colored glasses.
Yeah, I totally agree. I appreciate your honesty there. That you're one of the first people I've ever heard actually admit and say that. So I appreciate that. Go subscribe to Barnes on Bama right now, because I mean that was honesty right there. Oreo Puppy Dog, welcome, buddy. He said, when does our injury report come out? It came out tonight. Jerron McCoy will not be playing. That was, if you can believe what the thing says, but that's what is listed. Sean Bishop is listed as probable. That's a joke. He is 100% playing. I mean, you can't trust that thing. Let's see. Doug, welcome, Doug. Doug's a good friend. He said, hey, Evan, is Ruston in Pigeon Forge right now? If so, I saw him today on the trolley for Dollywood. Yes, that was him. So Ruston and his family have been at Dollywood yesterday and today. And tonight he is at the Brandon Lake concert in Thompson Bowling Arena. So, yes, that was he eating cinnamon bread? That's my question, because if you can't go to Dollywood without getting the cinnamon bread, pro tip there. So, hope you got some cinnamon bread at Dollywood, Doug. He lives in my neighborhood. If you wanted to bring some back and drop it off on your way up the street, that as you pass my house, that would be awesome. I would so appreciate that. Let's see. Nolan said, if we beat Bama at Bama, we will for sure be a top 16, probably top 5. Well, we better. I agree. Let's see. Elijah said, on a side note, Bama basketball having an exhibition against Florida State. Florida State 77 points with 10 minutes left.
I want to take this one really quick.
Go right
So
ahead. This is Owen's wheelhouse right here.
Yeah, so for anybody who doesn't know, like basketball is by far what I'm more known for than football. Don't take anything you see in an exhibition for Alabama to heart. Alabama's team that made the Final Four lost to TCU in a closed door scrimmage exhibition. It was one that wasn't filmed. Do not take anything you see tonight to heart, right? Like if you want to take like a specific player, like, oh, they look decent, like cool, that's fine. Don't take anything else to heart because Nate Oates is notorious for almost like forcing the players to play super free. So there have been, I mean, in the first half, there was like 11 turnovers. Now, does Alabama sometimes have a turnover problem in basketball early? Yes, but it's not going to be that bad first game. Trust me. He also like was doing total like hockey style line changes where you had, all the freshmen going out together. Now, do I think the freshmen will play this season? Sure, but he's not going to line change them all. Again, like Nate Oates is notorious with messing with rosters, doing different things. Again, are there some things that you're going to be able to take away from the scrimmage today? Absolutely. Like when I get off this, I'll probably watch the second half because I watched the first half prior to hopping on with Evan. But even if Alabama was to lose this game by 20, would it scare me a little just because it's a loss? Sure. But again, I know for a fact they lost to TCU by 30 the year they made the Final Four. So, like, do not worry too much about that. Like, Nate Oates is very notorious for doing different things. We're also missing 3 guys in this game. One of them will not be ready for the start of the season. The other 2 will. Latrell Wrightsell isn't playing because of his Achilles, but he'll be ready for the start. Noah Williamson will play. And then Bethea is not going to be back till December. But in general, like, don't worry too much about the scrimmage if you're an Alabama fan watching this. It's very normal. Nate Oates is kind of notorious for this kind of stuff.
Nate Oates is a great coach. There's no doubt about that. I believe Orange said the back end of our defense has to step up. Rebel Juice said, if the Vols lose this weekend, this is a good question. He said, if the Vols lose this weekend, would we still make the playoffs with 2 losses again? 2 losses would be to ranked teams. If we end that way, better than 2 losses, last year with one being unranked.
Yes.
Okay, so you're more optimistic than me because Ruston feels the same way you do. Ruston says if Tennessee's a 2-loss team, they make the playoffs. I wish I could be confident in that. I wish I could be. I've seen too many things over the years.
The reason I'm confident is like Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame's almost assuring if they don't lose, and Notre Dame has a substantially worse schedule than Tennessee. Their 2 losses are to top teams. Miami and Ohio State, sure, but to Miami and Texas A&M, but it's if I was Tennessee and I had 2 losses, I understand your skepticism, but I absolutely would think you were in because of the strength of schedule, because of who you lost to, where you lost to them. I would feel cautiously optimistic if I was a Tennessee fan with 2 losses. Now, you still have to win out, right? Like that's
exactly.
That's the thing that you're more scared about is the fact that you now have no margin for error. Less than, I think if you finish with 2 losses, I think you're pretty good. But like if you lose on Saturday, you now have 5 games left and you got to win them all.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, I think you just used the best words possible. Cautiously optimistic. Because here's the deal: if you're a 1-loss team, you're in the playoff. Bottom line, and let's be clear here. It is not the top 12 teams in the country. It's not. The 12th seed is reserved for the highest ranked group of 6 schools. So if the highest ranked group of 6 school ends up being a 17th ranked team, well, then that takes one of those. If by some chance, which is exactly what happened last year with Clemson, if a team wins a conference championship game that shouldn't have won that conference championship game, that takes another spot. And so in order to feel comfortable and confident that you are in the playoff, you have to be a top 10 team. You have to be. Because if you're not, you're on the bubble immediately. Because you only really have at that point 1 spot that you're looking at, and that's the 11 seed in the tournament. because the 12 seed is already reserved. You're not getting that if you're Tennessee. So if you're a 1-loss team, I feel like you're in, no problem. If you're a 2-loss team, all of a sudden your fate is now in the hands of the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. And I'm sorry, I do not trust them to make the best decision. I think there's demonstrable proof as to why that would be the case.
The one thing I will say that would partially scare me if I was a Tennessee fan and that was my circumstance is you would not have a large road win. Your only road wins would be against Mississippi State, Kentucky, and Florida. And if I was a Tennessee fan, that's the only part of that whole equation that would scare me. You would have a good win against Oklahoma. You would have a good win against Vanderbilt. I know people are going to laugh, Vandy. Like, that's still a good win, right? Like,
yeah, it's a good win. Vanderbilt's going to beat LSU this week.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so in my mind, I think, and when they beat LSU, there's a possibility that Brian Kelly's seat warms up fairly quickly, especially if they think John Summerall is going to be available. Because if they think they can kick him to the curb and get Summerall to move from Tulane to LSU, I think that there's a real possibility that happens sooner rather than later.
Agreed. So that's my opinion on that as far as like the college football playoff. I don't want to leave it into the hands of the selection committee because literally anything can happen at that point. If you're a 1-loss team, you're in, bottom line. But if you're a 2-loss team, then all of a sudden you got to start looking at all these other teams and what all did they do, and did that team win over here? It just all of a sudden it becomes. I'll put it this way: it's no longer under your control at that point, and that's never a good situation. Elijah said the cinnamon bread at Dollywood is so good. I agree, man. Matt cracked me up. He said 2023 at Tuscaloosa. The head ref lived in Tuscaloosa, and we got out penalized 10-1.
He was a little confused. He said that one was under DeBoer. He corrected himself a little later and said it was under Saban. Yeah, that was still under Saban. DeBoer's only year playing against Tennessee was last season in Knoxville.
Doug said, I didn't see Ruston eating any cinnamon bread, but I have some now, and we'll drop you off a piece. Hey, you the man, Doug. That's what I'm talking about. Let's see. Elijah said he can't wait for the Tennessee Duke exhibition next week for basketball. Keg 2071 makes a great point. So let's just take the fight to Bama for 60 minutes and see where the chips fall. I think that's exactly what's going to happen, buddy. It's going to be a who has the ball last kind of game. Let's see. Elijah said we could possibly get in, but it could be, being like last year, we have to go on the road against a team that was top 3-ish. Yep, totally understand.
One thing to consider, they did change, and I'm sure your fans are knowledgeable enough to know this, but they did change the seeding for this season. So instead of having your 4 conference champions be the 4 byes, it's the top 4 teams. So you're not going to be stuck with, the number 2 team is actually the number 5 team because of a weird conference championship reshuffling with the way the seeding works. It is true seeding until you get down to the 10, 11, 12 situation, because those spots are reserved. As he said, all 4 conference champs have to get in that win their conference championship games, and one group of 5 team has to get in. So as long as those are met with the 12-team criteria, then it will be 1 through 12. But if they are not met, then, number 12 is going to get sent packing for that group of 5. 11 could get sent packing for a conference champion, etc. But we don't have the weird reshuffling of the top 4 like we had last season. So that is one thing to note. You shouldn't have any of the weird, team was number 2 all season, now they're number 5 because they lost their conference championship game.
Absolutely. Exactly right. Nolan said, I don't think the committee has looked upon Tennessee favorably. Yeah, that's totally fair. Let's see. James asked a great question. Would they move the kick time up if weather moves in? I agree they won't. No.
ESPN and ABC want this as a night game.
Yep, exactly. Let's see here. Mississippi Vol said, can the cinnamon bread be mailed to Northeast Mississippi? Asking for a friend. That's what I'm talking about. Let's see. All right. So I want to hear everybody's questions Oreo Puppy Dog said, I just hope Gilbert is calm and ready. Yeah, for sure, man. That's our kicker, Max Gilbert. Here's what I would love for people to do in the comments now. And I'm going to ask Owen this. I would like people's comments about Tennessee in the comments as well. Owen, who's the player that for Alabama that you think on Sunday everybody's going to be like, man, he had a great game? Who is that guy? And for those in the comments, let us know from Tennessee. Who do you think is going to be that guy for Tennessee?
So my first one I feel like is cheating, so I have a second one. My first one I think is Ty
Okay.
Simpson, right? Like if I think if Alabama wins this game, Ty Simpson's going to go off, right? So I think that one's a little bit of cheating. I think that whoever wins the game, their quarterback is going to be thrust to the top of the Heisman discussions, like we talked about. If Tennessee wins, Joey Aguilar is going to be near the top of that ranking. If Alabama wins, Ty Simpson's going to stay at the top of the ranking. But a little bit more under the radar guy is Bray Hubbard on the defensive side of the ball. He's our kind of Swiss Army knife. He plays safety. He sometimes plays down at the linebacker, almost like a Mike linebacker position. He kind of does it all. He has a bunch of interceptions on the season. A lot of people, remember him being the number 18 everyone talked about and laughed at Florida State. Some people have even questioned, was he hurt in that game? Because he is known for being a high effort guy that forces fumbles, gets interceptions. Like he is kind of our turnover machine on defense. And he didn't have the effort and didn't have what we expected out of him in that Florida State game. So a lot of people have kind of wondered, was he potentially hurt? Not 100% sure. But if Alabama wins this game, the person that everyone will be talking about in my mind is going to be Bray Hubbard, because I think he has the skill set to make a play on defense, to get off the field on third down, fourth down kind of thing. Because as we talked about last night, I think this is kind of first 1 to 3 stops on defense. I think if you can put together 3 stops on defense, I think that you have a very good chance to win this game.
That's a great pick. I'll give mine and then I'll read the comments here. So my pick, I've only picked this guy one time, which this will be the 7th game of the season. You would have thought I would have picked him more than that by now, but I think you hit the nail on the head to start with. Whoever wins this game, their quarterback is going to be talked about all week long. What we just said, Joey Aguilar and Ty Simpson are number 1 and 2 right now in SEC passing statistics. Yeah, I can guarantee you ESPN's going to be mentioning that once or twice during the game. That's going to be a talking point, all throughout that game. It's going to be a talking point on College Game Day. The spotlight's going to be on him. Let's be honest here. Let's be honest. If Tennessee goes into Tuscaloosa and wins, Joey Aguilar will be the first quarterback to win in Tuscaloosa since Casey Clausen. I think he's going to be a kind of a legendary status at that point. If he pulls that off. So, if Tennessee were to win, even if they don't, I think that the guy that Tennessee fans are going to be talking about on Sunday is Joey Aguilar, because I think he's going to have some really good numbers. Because once again, this is going to be an offensive game. They're not going to be able to take their foot off the gas pedal, and Joey's just going to keep pumping the ball, hitting people, and I think he's the guy that's going to be talked about for Tennessee. Matt said he agrees. He said Joey. Mr. Jones said, do players that aren't yet 18 get to smoke cigars after winning this game?
So this is actually a really funny one, and I'm curious if Evan knows this. So kind of note about the cigar game. So the answer is yeah. I mean, nobody's going to stop them if they're under 18, let's be honest. But the other answer is, do you know that they get a fine for having tobacco on campus in the locker room, and the opposing team has to pay the fine? Like, that's a part of the tradition.
I did not know that about the opposing team paying the fine.
My understanding is that that's a part of
cool.
it's a very small fine. It's like $7,500 or something. I forget what it is, but I'm pretty sure.
2 tickets.
Yeah, like you have to you pay the opposing team pays the fine. Funny enough, the one of the cigar lounges here in Tuscaloosa makes like custom cigars for this game. R&R Cigars in downtown. he's not allowed to give them or they actually may be allowed to give them to the players now. For the longest time, they were not allowed to give them to the players due to NIL restrictions, and they still may not due to the fact that it's tobacco. They may have to technically purchase them. But he's been to practice this week, and Reagan does a really good job with kind of going up with the cigar game. I know usually when the game's in Tuscaloosa, I know Cole Kublik has kind of talked to him on the sideline, so you may see him mentioned if they talk about the cigar element of this game.
Oriole Puppy Dog said Ty Simpson's who he thinks people are going to be talking about. Elijah said for Bama, I think it's going to be Simpson. For Tennessee, it's Braylon Staley or Mike Matthews, two of the receivers for Tennessee. Yeah, that's another thing that I mentioned on Owen's show. People are talking about some folks are like Tennessee has no chance in this. I don't get honestly how people could say that. I really don't. When you look at the SEC receiving leaders right now, number 2, number 6, and number 8 on that list are all Tennessee players. Tennessee's 3 starting receivers are 3 of the top 10 leading receivers in the SEC right now. Number 9 on that list, I believe, is Jeremy Bernard. All 3 of Tennessee's dudes are on there. I don't get why people look at this and say, "Oh, Tennessee has no chance." Who have they been watching if they feel that way? Like I just don't get it. Robert said Ty Redmond and Colton Hood, Tennessee's corners, will have to play great. You're exactly right. They're going to have to play great. Let's see. John said, I would say the running backs, and this may have a part in my score prediction later, but I say Max Gilbert, hey, is a player we'll be talking about. Tennessee's kicker. Redemption from the Georgia game, huh? Maybe that's on Jonathan's score prediction radar there. Oriole Puppy Dog, go ahead.
I was going to say, wait, you were talking about receivers. One thing to note, and I know you talked about how good Tennessee's top 3 receivers are. I think a big reason why Alabama's receivers aren't on there is Ty Simpson spreads the ball around a crazy amount. I mean, he regularly has 7-8 guys catch a pass in the game. Alabama will use guys like Lodzier Brooks and Rico Scott and Isaiah Horton and Ryan Williams and multiple tight ends, running backs. He throws it to kind of everybody. So that is the one thing when you're talking about Alabama's passing attack. It is very much whoever's hot that day. So it could be a Lodzier Brooks day, or it could be a Ryan Williams day. It could be a Jeremy game. So that is one thing to kind of note when you're talking about Alabama's passing attack is Tide very much spreads the ball around the field, and that's part of the reason why we don't have those guys on that top list. And you still see Ty have the passing yards that he has, right? You've talked about how many yards he has. It's just because he spreads it out so much in his passing attack.
I mean, here's how close Joey and Ty are right now. Joey has 1,680. Ty has 1,678. Literally 2 yards difference. I mean, that's how close these dudes are right now.
Yeah. Joey has 3 top receivers and Ty has 1, right? So clearly the yards got to be coming from somebody.
Yep. Oriole Puppy Dog said Tyree West was an interior defensive lineman for Tennessee, and Arion Carter, a middle linebacker. Both need to have a great game. Totally agree. Keg said Gilbert with a walk-off win never buys dinner in Knoxville again. I love it. That's great. Nolan said Bernard will be the top player for Bama if they win, and by association, Ty Simpson. But if we win it, will definitely be our passing game. And I'm thinking Brazel will be doubled. So Staley is my pick. That's a great pick. Yeah, Braylon Staley coming out of the slot, getting the yards. That's what happened against Mississippi State.
It's definitely possible, but again, we don't really double anybody. We play a zone coverage like I talked about earlier. So I wouldn't expect Alabama to be putting weird like man coverage, double teams, that type of stuff out there. Like we're gonna run zone all day. If you're interested in the film side of this, I really like the Film Guy Network. Brooks Austin does a really good job. He's funny enough, he's a Georgia Sports Illustrated guy, but he's broke down the film of both of these teams because because Georgia's actually played both of them. And I think he's done a really good job talking about kind of what the defenses do. But both of these teams are going to run a ton of zone coverage.
Elijah said, I think both QBs go for over 250 yards and 2 touchdowns. I totally agree with that. He said, I do think Bama wins because it's in Tuscaloosa. Robert said Joey and Deshaun Bishop will be the guys we're talking about. Rebel Juice said Joey Aguilar, I think he plays his best game yet. Feel like he personally wants it. After the loss to Georgia, he's going to prove himself. I hope that's right. Let's see. John said he didn't know that about the fine either. Like he said, is the fine less than the goalpost removal? Probably so.
Yes.
Nolan said, I think both QBs have over 300 yards. Let's see. Like he said, she thinks they're pretty evenly matched.
Vols time, if y'all hold us to 17 points on defense or on offense, then your defense has turned into a team that I have not seen Tennessee play all season.
Yeah.
I don't know where you think Tennessee's defense has held us to 17, but like you only saw Alabama play Florida State and not a single other game. If you truly think that.
Elijah said, I think Bama wins 45-35. Don't see how we can stop them unless we turn them over, which is something Ty Simpson hasn't done yet. Let's see. He mentioned the same guy you're talking about, said he loves that guy. He does good stuff. Balls time. Yeah, 45-17 balls. I wish, man. I wish. That'd be awesome. Let's see. Okay, so people are giving score predictions now, so I'm gonna save on to those. Nolan said he enjoys watching that same guy. Billy said, I think it'll be Chris Brazzell as our player. All right, so let's do that. Let's give our score prediction since other people are throwing theirs out there right now. Owen, what's your score prediction for Saturday?
Yeah, so I have it a score of 42-34, Alabama. I do think that this is going to be a very evenly matched game. I think that eventually what's going to happen is I think Alabama's going to pull out, and I think that Aguilar is going to have kind of an effort. And I do think that it's going to be a situation where Tennessee may have the ball last, and I think it's going to come down to like a single defensive stop, that's going to be that 8-point kind of difference. So I have it as a 42-34 win for Alabama in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, I think that's a great pick. Y'all let us know in the comments what your score prediction is as well. I think that this is going to be a shootout. I don't think either defense is going to stop the other offense. I do think the only reason why the score won't be in the 50s is because one thing we talked about with on Owen's show last night, Alabama is going to run the ball and take time off by running it. Tennessee won't be able to stop their running attack. If that weren't the case, then this would be like a 50-something to 50-something game or something like that. So before the season started, Ruston and I both, actually, we didn't confer on it. We just both thought the same thing. We both thought Tennessee was going to go 9-3. The 3 losses that we picked were Georgia, Alabama, and Florida. Now, I don't think they're going to lose to Florida anymore. But if this game were in Neyland, I'd be picking Tennessee. But since it is a night game in Tuscaloosa, unfortunately, I think it's a who has the ball last kind of situation. And I think Bama wins 49-48. I literally think it's going to be that close. It is for people who like points, watch this game on Saturday night, because it is going to be an offensive fury on Saturday. If you're a defensive guy and you like watching defense, might I suggest watching another game Saturday night, because you're not going to find it in Tuscaloosa on Saturday. These two offenses, well, Tennessee's offense is too good and Tennessee's defense isn't good enough to stop Alabama's offense. So it's going to be a offensive smorgasbord if you like offense. Let's see some of the other predictions that came through. Mississippi Vol said he's got Alabama on the winning side, 41-24, unfortunately. Let's see some of the other comments that came through with the score predictions. Robert said, give me the Vols 35-31. Mr. Jones said 44-35 Vols. Okay, here's the one that matters. This is the one that matters the most right here. Billy said 48-45. I'm writing that down right now, actually. Billy said 48-45 Vols. Just in case people are joining us right now and you weren't here at the beginning of the show, Billy correctly predicted to the point for both teams the score of the Tennessee Arkansas game. He nailed it right on the money. So I gotta stick with Billy. Like the guy has proven he can do it. So that's the one everybody's circling right now. Stingray said 34-28 Vols. Oreo Puppy Dog said 44-41 Tennessee. Minolaki was pumped up when she saw Billy's selection there.
Matt
Elijah
cheated.
said, yeah. Elijah said 52-49. Max Gilbert reenacts the 2022 game-winning field goal. I would love that. I'd love it for Max, honestly, so that he can get the monkey off his back from that Georgia missed field goal. Nolan said, I'm going 45-38 Vols winning a 2-minute drill at the end of the game. Joey DeBrazel for the winning touchdown. That's specific. I like that. That's cool. Mr. Jones said streaks are made to be broken. Well, we're on the winning side of that right now. Like we've got the most recent wins. So I guess maybe wins in Tuscaloosa is what he's referring to. Maybe that's what he's referring to.
Yeah.
Jonathan said same thing. Feels like 22, 52-49. Balls Time said it's going to be a great game no matter who wins. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Matt said, Billy said 48-45, so I'm going with that too.
That's why I said he cheated.
Yeah. Mina Laggy said, we pack up Neil and take it with us. I love it. So if you're not referencing for sure what she's referencing, on our show Sunday night, we had Christopher Gabriel with us. And he was talking about how he got to interview Aaron Hayden, running back from Tennessee in the early 90s. And it was awesome what he said, what Aaron Hayden told him. So I'd recommend going back and checking that out. Let's see. Stingray said he'll never pick the other team to win, no matter what. Mr. Jones said Tennessee fans never pick against Tennessee. Evan, do you have a Bama shirt under that orange? I don't. I just try to be objective. Let's see here. Mina Laggy says she's with Billy too. Elijah said if Max gets the win on a game-winning field goal, all is forgiven from the Georgia game. Amen, brother. Listen, I would love nothing more for Max Gilbert than for him to get to kick a game-winning field goal and make it against Bama at Bama. I mean, talk about redemption after missing the one in Neyland against Georgia. I'd love that for him. I would love that for him. Slim said Tennessee's 1-0 against DeBoer, going to be 2-0. I mean, I hope so. Like I said, I wish I could say that, if this were in Neyland, I'd be picking Tennessee. But we all know there's something to playing at home in the SEC. There is such a thing as home field advantage in the SEC. Prime example. I'll give this example here. Peyton Manning, rookie season with the Colts. They're standing in the tunnel, and a guy next to him looks at him and says, man, isn't this awesome? There's like 56,000 people here today. Isn't this awesome? And he goes, yeah, I guess. he's like, I played in front of double this, like for the last 4 years. I've been playing in front of twice this many people. That's the difference in the SEC. I mean, there is something about being at home in the SEC.
One thing I want to mention, because Evan kind of talked about it, us being in the middle of the season, halfway through the season. One thing I think that people should understand, and I know Slim, y'all are 1-0 against DeBoer, absolutely, but note that you're 1-0 against Jalen Milroe. And the reason we talked about this on the show last night, that I have openly, sung his praises when he beat LSU and did what he did, and talked how poorly he played against Tennessee and Oklahoma. The reason I mentioned that, Ty Simpson has 16 passing touchdowns currently this season. Jalen Milroe had 16 passing touchdowns all of last season, and that includes the postseason. So it's just a kind of a different level of offense. Obviously, having Ryan Grubb back, having Kalen DeBoer, having a guy that they trust to run the offense. You've talked about how much Joey Aguilar is trusted to run the offense. It's clear how much more they trust Ty to run a passing offense than Jalen Milroe. I mean, you don't have to be an Alabama fan to see that. Like, that's super obvious. So that is one thing I will note, that I think that both teams are different than they were last season. because obviously I think that Jalen Milroe's ineptitude on the road in Knoxville was as big a reason why Alabama lost that game as anything last season.
That's fair. Let's see. We had a question come in. Let's see. Oh, Nolan said, if Max Gilbert hits a game-winning field goal, Evan, you have to mail him an honorary brochure. I will do that, actually. I will do that. At the very beginning of the show, we had a question come in, and I saved it until now. It was from a Bama person, and he said, who's the Vols' most improved player from last year? And which player has not improved and which has gone downhill? I wouldn't say anybody's gone downhill, thankfully. One person who has not improved, there's a couple defensive backs I can think of on that list that you could put on that list. One is Andre Turrentine. I mean, like he's solid, but he has not, in my opinion, gotten drastically better from last year. Who's the most improved player from last year?
It's a position, not a player. I think it's the quarterback.
Well, that's a fair point too.
Like if you're going to say compared to last season, I think it's the quarterback position. Obviously, it's not a singular player. We thought it was going to be, but that's a different discussion. But you talked about it on my show last night. I think the answer is Joey Aguilar compared to Nico last season. And you could say that about both teams, right? Jalen Milroe is not the same passer as Ty Simpson. Nico is not the same passer as Joey Aguilar. So, I mean, that's the position, in my opinion. If y'all have somebody else that's improved, by all means. But I think that's the clear answer.
I think you're exactly right. If we're looking at a player who was on the team last year, then I'd say it'd be Chris Brazel. He's probably the most improved. But if you're looking at a position from last year to this year, Owen's spot on. Like, there is no position that's more improved than the quarterback position at Tennessee right now. Just the sheer grasp of the playbook that Heupel trusts Joey with. It's totally different. It's a different level than last year. Some other folks, Tennessee fans, chimed in. Elijah said Lance Hurd, the starting left tackle, is the most improved. He said, in my opinion, he's played very well. Stingray agreed with that. Minalaki also agreed with that. Nolan said, I think Boo isn't any better in coverage, and I'm very happy with how Hurd is playing now that he's healthy. Boo Carter was the other defensive back that was in my mind. Mr. Jones agreed. Matt said he can't wait till Tyree West is able to get to Ty Simpson. Jonathan said, I agree. I got so frustrated with Lance Hurd last year. I don't think the safeties have gotten better this season. Boo hadn't gotten better either. I would agree with that. Idris Farouk, one of the two safeties who will start, he has gotten much better. I'll give him that. Idris Farouk is night and day better. Mississippi Vol said Chris Brazel has to get some consideration. That was my choice. Totally agree. Nolan said, hopefully Boo's mom doesn't watch this show.
Nolan, I have a funny one for you. So for anybody that follows my stuff, I do a lot of basketball threads, and I name the opposing players, and I give like their heights and shooting percentages and whatever. And I often will like talk about players, and I have a lot of opposing players' parents that will screenshot it, or I know they see it because they search their kids' names. So I've definitely been in that situation where I've like talked smack in like a thread. Like, I think this guy's not going to be very good. There was a pretty famous one, Austin Newell, that played at Georgia back when Alabama had recruited him. His dad got in my comment section when Georgia was up, and then when Alabama won the game, he got real quiet. But like, that's the parents of the players, they absolutely search their kids' names. So you got to be really careful. They may not watch all the shows, but like if you say something on Twitter, they will find it.
Well, and Boo's mom, she has made a name for herself this offseason. She posted multiple times saying she was not a Tennessee fan. She was a Boo Carter fan. And she is very proud of her son, and good for her. But she made some unfortunate comments on the interwebs about Boo this off season. It was bizarre. That's all. I mean, it was bizarre. Yeah, Elijah said she's also a huge Coach Prime fan. That's true.
It reminds me of Landon Collins that played at Alabama and then went to the Giants. When he famously committed to Alabama during the Under Armour All-American game, he put on the Alabama gloves, and his mom walked off the set because she was an LSU fan and wanted him to go to
I remember
Louisiana.
that.
That one's
Yeah.
like kind of what that reminds me of like she was like, I'll be a Landon fan, but I'm not going to be an Alabama fan. She was like super pissed that he didn't go to LSU. So that one's what that kind of reminds me of.
I remember that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Owen, man, we appreciate you joining us tonight. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us.
Of course, yeah, I'm happy to join you guys. Thanks for having me on. As we mentioned a couple of times, Evan joined me and we talked kind of all about the Tennessee side. So if y'all want a Tennessee fans perspective on this game, obviously I know he let me talk a lot about Alabama's side today. But watch the video that he kind of threw in the comments because it was a lot of fun to have him on the show.
And I'll just put that link back in the comments again if anybody's looking for it. Just as everybody knows, Saturday night in Tuscaloosa, Tennessee, Bama, third Saturday in October. Hopefully the weather doesn't impact it. Sunday night, right here, 9:00 p.m. Ruston will be back from Dollywood and Knoxville. And so it'll be the two of us Sunday night at 9:00 p.m. right here as always. Mina Lackey is giving out great advice. She said, hit the like button. I totally agree. Nolan said, great to have you, Owen. Elijah said, good to meet you, Owen. Like your insight into Bama football, but go Vols. Let's see. John said, great show as always. Thanks for joining us, Owen. I'll check your show out sometime, depending on how the game goes, if I watch your next show or not. I totally understand that. Mississippi Vols said, see you guys again on Sunday. Great. Hope everyone has a great Friday and weekend. Yeah, man. Totally agree. Let's see. Mr. Jones, I don't think he's going to do that. He said, give us a go Vols before you go, Owen. I don't think he's going to do that. Let's see. Yeah. I appreciate all of y'all so much for joining us. Seriously, thank you all so much. I told Owen we got the best comment section in the whole interwebs. So Jonathan said, don't forget to tell your mom and them about the Vol Bros. Absolutely. Totally agree. 100%. Slim said, great show, man. Go Big Orange. Hey, we appreciate you, Slim. Thank you all so much for joining us. I really do appreciate it. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Go Vols, baby. And we will see everybody very, very soon.